Hi, everyone. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all this evening and to be able to welcome Tala Madani to Hunter College and the Department of Art and Art History as our 52nd Zabar visiting artist. Before we formally introduce Tala, my colleagues and I want to express our most sincere thanks to Judith and Stanley Zabar. The Zabars have been steadfast supporters of the Department of Art and Art History and the Zabar Fine Arts Library, and of students and faculty throughout Hunter College for many years. This program, the Zabar Visiting Artist Program, is now 15 years old. Since 2007, it has allowed us to bring internationally recognized artists like Tala Madani to Hunter to work directly with our students in the MFA Studio Art Program, in seminars, workshops, and studios. Tala is continuing that mandate, spending a couple of very full days at 205 Hudson Street. Judy and Stanley's gift has made their visit possible and has ensured that such experiences will continue for our MFA students for years to come. While the Zabars cannot be with us this evening because Judy has had a momentous birthday, I don't think she would like me to say exactly what age it is, but it's a decade birthday, and because this is being recorded, I would like us all to say happy birthday to Judy Zabar. So, happy birthday, Judy! We just love her for what she gives to our program. So, without further ado, Daniel.
Thank you. Tala, I'm so happy you're here. Hard to express that. In honor of Tala Madani, I would like to read a very short story known as Blue Notebook Number 10 by the early Soviet-era Russian absurdist poet Daniil Karms, who was born as Daniil Yuvashev and invented his pseudonym Karms, K-H-A-R-M-S, by incorporating the English words harm and charm. Blue Note Book Number 10. There was once a red-haired man who had no eyes or no ears. He also had no hair, so he was called red-haired only in a manner of speaking. He wasn't able to talk because he didn't have a mouth. He had no nose either. He didn't have any arms or legs. He also didn't have a stomach, and he didn't have a back. And he didn't have a spine. And he also didn't have any other insight. He didn't have anything. So it's hard to understand whom we are talking about. So we'd better not talk about him anymore. I create as I speak is the meaning of the Hebrew word abracadabra, used in stage magic and traditionally in incantation of amulets. Serenus Samonicus, 2nd century tutor of the Roman Emperor Caracalla and the author of Liber Medicinalis, the medical book, advocated using abracadabra as a literally amulet against fever. He was considered by many to be the learned man of his age and possessed a library of 60,000 volumes. Can erasure or destruction be seen as a form of creation, as some understand the meaning of entropy? How do we make and unmake our world? By making it visible or by speaking it out loud? Unlike the man in the Daniil Karm story, who seems to disappear in front of us as we speak, first pronounced into existence and then destroyed by the same language that has just created him, Tala Madani's men are very concrete and not at all disappearing. In the words of Ross Simonini in an art review article from February 2021 called "The Artist is Irrelevant, Tala Madani on Transgression, Nostalgia and Style," he says, Tala Madani's painting depicts a universe of splendid transgressions. A brood of babies feast on a mother made of crap. A toddler wields a penis the size of a go-kart. A man is levitated by the power of his own glowing ejaculate. It's a funny, horrifying, and often hyper-masculine place, animated by the mythic logic of the subconscious. Tala Madani, born in 1981 in Tehran, Iran, makes paintings and animations whose indelible images bring together wide-ranging modes of critique, prompting reflection on gender, political authority, and questions of who and what gets represented in art. Her work is populated by mostly naked, bald, middle-aged men engaged in acts that push their bodies to their limits. Her approach to figuration combines the radical morphology of a modernist with a contemporary sense of sequencing, movement, and speed. Thus, her work finds some of the most powerful echoes in cartoons, cinema, and other popular durational forms. Tala Madani's exhibition, Dirty Windows, is opening on Saturday in New York's 303 Gallery and can be seen there until April 15th. Tala Madani Biscuits, her first North American survey, was on view at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles through February 19, 2023. It brought together 15 years of the artist's incisive work and highlighted the often absurd socio-cultural dynamics enacted within Madani's art, and more broadly, the potent and combustible relationship between art, history, and global history. Madani has been the subject of solo exhibitions at a number of museums worldwide, including Start Museum in Shanghai in 2020, Mori Art Museum in Tokyo 2019, Secession in Vienna 2019, Porticus Frankfurt 2019, La Panacée Montpellier France 2017, MIT List Visual Arts Center Cambridge, Massachusetts 2016, Contemporary Art Museum St. Louis 2016, Nottingham Contemporary England 2014, and Moderna Museet in Malmö and Moderna Museet in Stockholm in Sweden in 2013. She recently participated in the 16th Istanbul Biennial, the 7th content, at the Whitney Biennial in 2017, and Made in LA in 2014 at Hammer Museum in Los Angeles, among many other international group exhibitions. Tala Madani's work is in the permanent collections of institutions including Moderna Museet in Stockholm and Malmö, Sweden, Guggenheim Museum, New York, Museum of Modern Art, Los Angeles, Museum of Modern Art, New York, Stedelijk Museum in Amsterdam, Tate Modern London, Mori Art Museum in Tokyo, and Whitney Museum of American Art in New York. Tala Madani lives and works in Los Angeles. Please help me welcome Tala Madani.
Hello, everybody. 1 second. First of all, thank you so much for coming tonight. Am I being heard? Yes. To start, I just want to say thank you for that incredible introduction. I want to say a little bit, me and Daniel met at Yale when I was a student there, and he was teaching at Yale. And his presence at that time was incredibly forming, not just for me, but for all the cohort of us that were there. So to all the students here, bang at his office door and get in. I just made you very busy. He, as you saw at the beginning of the introduction, before he started talking about me, how giving he was. This beautiful, evocative piece that he just read. The time, the finding and the giving is continuous with Daniel, and your time at Hunter is just served by proximity to him, so get close. Okay, so after that, what was I going to say after that? Again, thank you for the invitation. It's humbling. I've had a beautiful day with 8 of the graduate students today. Thanks for opening your doors, and it's been a minute for me to do these talks, to meet people in person, because we've been through so much of the Zooms. And so bear with me as I am going to be jumping and trying to get some sentences together to make your time listening worthwhile. So where else can we go from there? I also like, I'm going to be probably referencing this amazing writer, Adam Phillips, who's a British psychoanalyst, who I've been looking at for the last couple of years. And he, in his lectures, always encourages people to not pay attention. Just let your attention drift, let it go in and out, because that's where things can really settle in somewhere useful for you. And I relate to that, because when I really want to get something, when I'm really quite eager, it always slips away. So feel free to go somewhere else and just hear with the back of your mind, and then maybe something that you need will capture, etc. So, what to start with? Why not Larry David? It's just only a minute and 45 seconds, so we'll start with that, and then let's see where it takes us.
Calm down, Larry. What's up with this, all right? In the doctor's office earlier, there's a guy sitting there, a skinhead, okay? He looks at me and he says, "What the fuck are you looking at, Jim boy? Fucking faggot." What? What? What'd you do? What I do? Yeah, what'd you do? I slunk out. You slunk out? Slunk? I slunk out. So you didn't do shit and you punked out. That's what the fuck happened, right? Yeah, punked out. I punked out. How'd that happen? What was I gonna do? The guy could have killed me. That's not a man calling you a fucking faggot. You getting that ass, Larry. You know what I mean? You getting that ass, Larry. That's what the fuck you do. What are you talking about? You let that man slide today. You got to immediately get in somebody's ass when that happens to you. You pull that asshole open, step into their asshole, close the door behind you, and spray paint here, right? Larry was here. Spray paint. Larry was here. Wash me, all that kind of shit. Fuck this whole asshole. This is sticker bars, put some paper on the floor. We got newspaper, all the paper, and throw the newspaper on the floor. Fuck this whole asshole up. You know what I'm saying? Did you open that asshole one more time? Open it again. Open that asshole again. Oh! Step out his ass. And leave that motherfucker wide open. So you know you've been there. Open it up. Step in your asshole. Straight paint. I was here. Bin garbage. Stickers. Leave garbage. Bin. Fuck it. Get out. Open it up again. Yeah. Step out the asshole. Step out. Don't close that motherfucker. Leave it open. So you know you've been there. Feel me? Okay. Huh? Handle people.
So why would I? Yeah. So yeah, I guess this is an example of what I think works for me. This works for me. Okay. Let's just dissect it. Basically, evocation again. So evocative. I mean, with the spray paint event for painters, right? Humor. And I guess I was thinking about this because this is dated now, right? I don't know, maybe it's 20 years old, and I was 20 years ago or something. And I was thinking, does this even work anymore? I mean, you know, it's pretty out there. Is it acceptable now? So I was thinking, let's see if it works for us, and we can dissect it. Recently, I was thinking about humor, and this humor, and then satire, and then parody. So, apologies there. View slideshow. So, we'll just stop on here. And we'll stop in here. That's right, please stop. Okay. So, thinking about obviously satire, humor, and what you just saw, the clip you just saw, parody seems to need a kind of a group consensus on something for it to work. Like we all have to agree on on some kind of a paradigm so that we can be parodic about it, so that we can actually, so that if you use the language of parody, it can actually then function for you. And I guess I've been thinking about, do we agree on anything right now? Do we have any kind of a social, political, like agreement, whether it's actually sociological or within artistic sort of lenses? That's one way of thinking about it. Then I was thinking about satire and irony and differences within generations that inhabit our whatever visual art world or ourselves. And thinking about how I was, and please, this can be a bit of a group discussion. I was thinking about, I can't find many examples of satirical texts that have been made by, let's say, the right, the political right. What comes to my mind is works that it's sort of function of the left to use satire. And that's interesting because it has to sort of be comfortable with holding sometimes two opposing positions at the same time. And maybe that's not what the political right perhaps can do. I mean, ridicule is certainly a tool of the right, but satire and irony seem not to be. I only say that because I feel there is a wave of discomfort with satire contemporaneously because of the fear of offensibility. So I'm only bringing that out because I feel that, and I think it's great that we're thinking about being conscious of things that might offend, but only to say that I think we don't want to give up our tools, we meaning people, masses, like whatever group that you can be a part of, because hopefully we can be part of groups, otherwise it's lonely. That it's you don't want to give up your tools and become smaller and smaller as just yeah. So this is one thing that I've been thinking about. It's going to be like that a little bit. No big conclusions, just a lot of thoughts, basically, and that's what leads to paintings too. A bit of a what if, a bit of a how about that, a bit of a what about this problem. No big thesis, only a lot of scratches. So maybe we should go to the next thing. These are a bit old. I brought a few different variations that we can sort of look through. For a bit I was thinking about how do I bring the outside in, and enema was one way. This idea of, you know, and you can see the interest then in Larry David. And this maybe forced cinema, someone had it, like, you know, so it's or I think this is like a self-administered enema, and the enema bag, like a homemade enema bag, as a way of bringing your insides. Like, think about it, sit on a table. Tables are great. Okay. What else can we talk about? Balance. Great quote from John Stuart Mill in the 1800s about what he says. There seems to be something singularly captivating in the word balance. So thinking about balance, is there a bit of painting for balance? No, not really. Oh, we'll flip on here anyway. Balanced budget, balanced diet, balanced life, balanced relationships, balances, and yet things that excite us in life are things that put us off balance, like love, like something exciting that's off balancing. So this is quite interesting to me right now. Of like, what is it that and something that's quite problematic about balance sometimes is that potentially makes you unattentive. That's something that is life that is ever so balanced makes you sort of not be able to pay attention. I'm interested in attention versus labor. So the idea of interest in labor, I think sometimes can be misunderstood for attention. Unless the work is about listening to podcasts while we paint, unless the work is about that, we shouldn't do it. Like this idea of, doing, what is that about? It's pervasive, is why I mention it. So, thinking about what is that action of painting? What are we doing? And what is attention? And what is presence? So again, presence versus labor, presence of attention. That idea of actually turning this into that thing over there, and finding a way of making it jump in there.
I've got a question.
Please.
Yay. So what do you do when you paint? Are you just painting?
Yes. I listen to music, but only to make me move. I also listen to music when if I ever go skiing, because I'm afraid of skiing. Fear of that, and music distracts me from the fear.
So it's not a painting about music then? Like what's the difference?
Because I'm not listening to the music.
Okay.
Because I'm not listening to the words, right? It's just it's a calling to yeah. And also different music for different kinds of attention. Like if I know I need certain attention, a certain kind of music. If I know I need to wake up attention. Know yourself, right? That's quite key. But that's so interesting. But can we also paint in silence? And can we do nothing except to paint? And that's so fascinating you ask me that. That's a surprising thing. Like to just paint. Why do we need to do anything else? If it's boring, then we stop. Don't paint if just painting is a problem, right? Then we got to find some other thing, right? Like maybe a bit more, red. I don't know, yeah. But yes, so please we can do that. If it's something that's percolating, jump at it. You'll be helping me. Again, I got COVID last month for the first time, and it's still something is a bit not connecting. So, I'll blame that. Haha. Okay, so again, and also then it's so interesting. Why do we turn to conservatism? I'm really interested to think why we make conservative choices. And by conservative, I don't mean, again, politically conservative, but just simply conservative, like the true, the trusted. Why do we go to the past? And I think something about admitting that maybe psychologically we are in a kind of a space of, what's the word? We're troubled. We're not comfortable. And when you're not comfortable with the unknown. You're not comfortable swimming in the mud. You want to hold on to something. So just admitting that it's a moment of, in terms of the collective subconscious, it's a moment of whatever group. What is that when you're really afraid of things? Phobia, but also apprehension. We're deeply, as a society, more apprehensive than perhaps other times. And so I guess for me, acknowledging that could be the first steps in stepping out of the conservatism and allowing for mini little revolutions to take on again within us and being comfortable again in the unknown. So I was thinking about this in terms of our, again, collective interest in watching reruns and or miniseries, because the need to know what you're entering, the need that I can't just start watching something that I don't know where it's going to take me. I need to know that I'm going to be safe watching this. So, because my interest is not to be conservative. Let's just clarify that. My interest is for all of us to be revolutionary, avant-garde artists of tomorrow, myself included. I want to push my work further. I don't feel I've arrived anywhere. So how do we do that is first we understand what are the things, what are our traumas, to then be able to find little tiny doses of whatever we need. Okay, how are we doing? Anybody following me? Okay, a little Kafka. I like this, so I thought I'd share it. Kafka in his diaries wrote, "The advantage of lying on the floor is that there's nowhere else to fall." Yeah, there, that goes with what I was saying. Okay, let's keep on looking at other things. This one is reading light. You know, again, I don't know, it's a 20-year-old work, 15-year-old work. I thought, what if people want to get smart, they want to have that flashlight, boom, in your head. I have an idea. What if he's got a flashlight in his crotch and people are using that light to read, like, where they're going or their newspaper or something? So what else? Christmas tree decorations? What is that about? I don't know. I mean, so, okay, to be candid, I came to US, I came to Oregon in '94 from Iran, and studied in Corvallis, Oregon, went to high school and then studied painting at Corvallis in Oregon State, and then went to Yale, where I was reminded that I don't have any art culture, because, you know, that's the way it was. And so I was really reacting to two different things. I was reacting to my own criticism, let's say, of tendencies for male, what do they say, sort of man-explaining, you know, mansplaining, thank you, it's one word, or whatever, patriarchy, mansplaining. I was reacting to that within my own culture, within my own memory, and also reacting to a kind of xenophobic, Islamophobic post 9/11 reality that we were in. So what to do? I could criticize everything to hell, that what I wanted to do, but then yet again everybody else was. So then I'm also criticizing the underdog. So it was in this trying to understand how could I punch both? How could I, inhabit both spaces? So the paintings were trying to find themselves under both of those interests. Does that make sense? Yeah. Questions on that? Yeah? So again, symbolically, Christmas tree, fine, Christmas tree. Using that kind of thing. Plus, then the sort of, very interested in figurative painting, scale became useful. Scaling up and down in relation to finding an objectness, making the figures look more like objects here and there. What is that one? Exo. Something about becoming an X, something about reducing figures to signs, to cross, to X being X out, then emulating that. Fun with painting. This idea of signage. Articulation would be great. If I was articulate, that would be great. But I'm a painter, so there we go. I was at MoMA yesterday, and I was thinking about this thing of attention. And I was thinking about someone like Ed Reinhardt. And I was just going to say he pays a lot of attention. Love his way of paying attention. It's right there, you guys should look at it. Should we go on? Right, so crosses, wines, blood, wine, cross, fun. Cheers. Low stakes, painting with very low stakes, trying to paint without any expectation of it being anything bigger than what it is. What about these ones? These ones, a series called Smiley Has No Nose. And I was thinking, well, the smiley face, it's like the peace sign, but it can't smell or it can't hear. So, yeah, easy peace. And then I thought, acculturation to that, and maybe some guy that's just mortified while he's wearing his boxer shorts that he's being entered in. It's sort of like a whatever failed painting, but I like the idea. What is failure? Oh no, success. Okay, never mind. I won't go to my little T-shirt literature. Okay, but I'm going to share with you. Some CEO tweeted it. Success is keeping your enthusiasm failure after failure. But why not? Yeah. What about this one? Wash out milk. So at some point I also decided that I can't paint objects. I wasn't interested in things. I wasn't interested in painting always had a bit of a resistance to painting, actually. Love painting, hate painting. Don't really want to be an artist. I love to paint. So a little bit of I'm only going to do the minimal necessary to get my idea out, kind of a painting. I was talking about that to someone in the studio today about, for me, it's idea forward, not paint forward, not formal forward. If there's a distinction. I mean, who has the time? Who has the energy? What's happening right now? There's an urgency. Like, what are we doing? I mean, I don't really believe that, but I believe that, You can push back. That's totally your prerogative. I'll listen. Okay, listening. Being at school, let me just talk to that a little bit. I was recently the dean of Yale Department of Art. I went to Yale for grad school. Was writing a book and wanted to write about women's experience at Yale when I was there. And she asked me who was there and how many women and what was my, and I think she had a position, right? She was, she wanted to sort of right a wrong historically, which is wonderful and admirable. When I contemplated that, I was thinking so much about how, for me, it really is about, as a student, it really is about, you can't really be taught anything. No one can teach you anything, but you can learn everything. It's really proactive. Like, you can get the best lectures from the best, whoever's teaching, but it's really about what you need to catch and what you need to receive. So it's deeply, and then there's no end then. You can be taught by anybody who's completely oppositional to you on spectrum of things. So I just want to say that I hope that as a student you use it all. Oppositional, get people who would be totally opposite to your position to come to your studio, because that's very valuable, and not just kinship, for everybody, right? So does that make sense? Do you guys can anybody push back? Anybody want to push back? No? Okay. Oh no. Okay. Labor, nostalgia, no excess. Let's talk about nostalgia a little bit. So I'm pretty open to all kinds of painting. Let me just move from this one. Let's land on this one. Nostalgic painting, and by that I mean painting that reminds you of other kinds of mark making, for me is probably the kind of painting that I've become most suspicious of. And not in a bad way. I mean, by the way, to each his own. But that this idea of should I go more into that? Is that of interest? Yikes. Okay, so it's not about any way of painting. Again, another one of the teachers at Yale is Kurt Cowper, who teaches at Queens College, I think, in New York, and Queens. And I think if you guys have an occasion to see his work or to hear him talk, a wonderful, incredible painter, teacher, who works in a very traditional kind of practice, whose works are not at all nostalgic. So nostalgic painting, to me, isn't about a kind of painting. I mean, you can paint in a really fresh way, realistically, abstractly, the whole gamut of art historical voices. But that nostalgia is one that enjoys the moment that it looks like something else. So that, to me, then is nostalgic. That it's not in direct relation to itself. it's not having an immediate experience with itself. By that I mean the artist and the canvas is interested in a kind of a leaning on your previous enjoyed experience of some other moment of time, and that I find just inherently conservative and slightly pervasive is why I mention it. Okay. Examples? I could never. No, that's too mean. But I know you can think of it. I mean, what I mean, we can think of examples and then test it, like sit in front of it and say, wait, can I actually like look at this and think about now, or do I only go to the past? And I think it's that. It's like, and by the way, again, as someone who didn't go to any museums up until I was in undergrad, who really caught up with art history, let's say. At some point, before I had caught up with art history, I could have looked at something that was nostalgic and not have a nostalgic experience. So obviously, as an audience, you're always meeting an artwork with your present self. And then, so that's also, it's not a objective, definitive experience for everybody. But as a maker, just to think about, what are we trusting? Are you trusting your own reaction to the present? And can we? And why wouldn't you? Or are you leaning into the tried and true? Again, why would you? Is interesting. Okay.
I mean, at least for me, like to open the talk with a homophobic joke is conservative to me. Like, I don't think that anyone who's been called faggot on the street would find that so funny, maybe.
No, I think you're right. And I don't know if it was funny 20 years ago or not. I don't know if the awareness of it was there or not.
So it's just interesting to then feel
It was.
conservative.
Yes.
But not as cancelable, perhaps.
Well, not as cancelable, but it was certainly, I mean, it's definitely 20 years ago was 2000.
So
I mean,
different.
Stonewall happened in 1968.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But social consciousness about...
I mean, you'd have to be living under a rock if you didn't know that was offensive.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. But tell me about this.
Well, I guess just to...
But when that happened, when you were watching this, what happened for you once that was said? The rest of the clip, did it stop?
Yeah, definitely, because the premise of the joke is that he was called a faggot, and why did we fight back like in defense of manhood when he was called a faggot? When actually,
Or his like racial, or himself as a Jewish person.
Yeah. That's true. But
The rest of the joke is about being inside another guy's ass. So it's about being called that.
Say that again.
The rest of the joke is
Yeah.
about being inside the guy's ass.
Or about going there.
You're just waiting.
About punching back, basically. Like not taking it.
When it's making fun of the fact that, like, oh, just gay people fuck each other in the ass, and that's all they do.
That's what the joke is.
so I'm not trying to do your talk.
No, there is no derailment. There is no talk. I have nothing prepared.
To me, it's some questions of like, okay, then what is the conception of conservative within this talk when the opening was happening?
Well, there's conservative in painting.
But painting is part of the world.
Painting is part of the world?
Painting is, we live with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel separate.
Oh, no. It's not separate at all. No, but I'm saying let's just first talk about what we're talking about. Like, because when I'm saying about nostalgia, let's say, is about painting technique. You know what I mean? I'm talking very specifically about, like, paintbrush strokes, you know. But, one could even say choosing Larry David from 20 years ago is nostalgia.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah. Conservative. Well, yeah. Is Larry David conservative?
I mean, it's, you started off with the notion of conservatism as a political form. Now
Yeah.
you're talking about it as a form of painting.
Yes. But you find Larry David to be conservative?
It's so retrograde. It's so incredibly retrograde.
But do you see the
Even then, it was.
Yeah. You. I like the piss ricocheting off of Christ's face and then him thinking it's a miracle. You know, I mean, I do think that's what I meant though. That's why I was bringing that up of what like how, where are we, and where can we go, and where was he, and what is the use value of getting messy?
I mean, wasn't that a typical like setup? The Jewish man who gets
You say that, you know, it's crazy.
by a black, you know, someone who's stereotypically thought of as this sort of virile figure in culture. I mean, the whole setup of it was racialized. And
I don't follow. So I think one of the things is with Curb, they have this setup, and then you improv. So they didn't have that as a script, by the way. So the setup is, hey, I'm going to say this, and then the whole thing was totally improv. That's why I think Barry really enjoyed that improv moment and repeated it over and over again, you know, as you saw.
Right.
So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, for me, it's, for me it was, yeah, I don't find Larry David as conservative. Maybe it is. But go on, let's keep going.
Oh no, I just had questions
About conservatism. No, because I won't actually address it. So let's reframe the question again. Is it, what do I mean about conservatism?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean it on a personal level. I mean it as, where are we, how do we get uncomfortable in ourselves? How can we push our own comfort zone so that we can get new skin, so that we can enter a new space? So that could be within our experiences, but that's our life, right? Like, you know, amidst where we are right now, do we really, I mean, are we okay being liberal? Because liberalness means really being okay with forces that we disagree with, right? So are we okay with that? Can we continue being liberal? Yeah, so that's like one tone of, and I don't think we are doing that, because I think, like I was saying, we are under so much apprehension, and we're not comfortable. We don't feel secure in ourselves, in our life. So we're not comfortable getting uncomfortable. We are so much like protecting ourselves constantly. We're like shielding. Don't hit me. What am I stop kicking me, right? And with that, we're shelling up. And I find, in order, as a practitioner, as someone who wants to get outside of myself, I have to get very comfortable getting very dirty first, without fear of failure, without fear of offending, without fear of like totally fucking up. And we're talking about this with a writer about what do you do with your ideas if you're not sure of them? Maybe they're shit, you know, and maybe they are offensive. And I was saying, you do them, you don't have to show them. Write them, you don't have to publish them. As artists, self-censoring, I think, is the first step to the death of your creativity. So if there's going to be if there's going to be a better joke than that, he has to get through that. Maybe he should have had a better editor. Maybe they could have improved it. But he has to get through that to get to the next one. That's the better one. If he can. I mean, he is of a certain age. There are limitations to what anybody can do. Oops. Sorry. But anyway. But so that's kind of what I mean about... Go.
I really want to support what you're saying. I really agree with what you're saying.
Sure, but you know, it doesn't matter in a way if you can. But I'm not looking for that. I just want to say it's okay to disagree too. Yeah.
I think it matters because, I understand the conservatism within the left. I mean, and it is here and it's present and it's active. And dirty to criticize it. And I think I'm really glad that someone comes here and speaks up about that.
We live in a really, sorry for my language, again, because I don't have better words, we live in a really difficult moment right now. The world's getting really fucked, guys. Like, you know, what's happening, for instance, let me just back to some personal experiences. In Iran right now, there are protesters trying to change the government. The left in the US is scared of standing up because of fear of being called Islamophobic, because we have a history of Islam, because there's an exhaustion of regime change and failures of Western country involvement. But not to even so and then so who are we as Iranians or left with as supporters? Hawkish Republicans that I don't want to get in bed with them. You know, I don't want to be in a political alliance with. But then, like, where is my left? You know, where is my and then within that too, people who are interested in change also have to understand that the future of Iran is going to be big factions of extremely devout Muslim political holders, and that's going to have to also be okay. What I mean is that unless we really can accept, we're in a really difficult moment because we want at the same time pushing for cultural revolutions and political improvements, and they don't always move at the same time, and they don't always have the same political alliances. So anyway, and then with all that, what the hell do you do with painting? So, like, you know, how do you put all of that need? And so let's talk about how does painting work when all of us as citizens are interested in fighting for, let's say, and I hope you guys are, better healthcare, better education, seriously, like real things. I would argue, I really hope we do it in your work, but also as like activists, because painting's way is slower. The first revolution happens like within the maker. So it's like Kippenberger said, nobody's interested in, the art does nothing for anybody except for the maker. I don't think that's true because his work does a lot for me. But in terms of the time scale, sometimes we need quicker change faster, and that we have to kind of like, you know, whatever that process is, get on the phone and do that, or get together and do that. And most of you are younger. I've realized that younger people than me anyway in Iran, they really believe in art. They really believe in the gesture, the power of gesture. And that both makes me extremely excited and terrified at the same time. I don't know if change is possible through Instagram. Any change. You know, I think, and that's a question I think we have to ask is... Yeah. Yes, very powerful, but maybe not enough. Not some, yeah. Okay, we'll talk more. All right, I'll move on from baby shocked at Santa Claus pissing through their gift. This is inspired by this, there's a lullaby, like a child lullaby in Iran where it really like says, the mother is amazing, my mother taught me this, and my mother did this for me at bed, and she sacrificed so much. And as kids, we would make fun of it, change the words to the father, and the father like ate my food and didn't give it to me. He peed in the bed and said it was my fault. And I think this comes from that resonance. Anyway, I don't know. I think I've not mentioned this, but I think I painted these when I was pregnant. So whatever that means. Big penis boy scaring face of men. Children, child, picture coming out of, like your past, your loved ones, whoever, who has pictures by their bed? Isn't that funny? Who puts pictures of their loved ones by their bed? It's so haunting. So haunting. And so I saw someone with somebody's picture by their bed, and I was like, wow, that's surprising to me. Again, becoming light, chandelier, inside jokes. I always love this saying. I don't know if I always do it, but I love this saying that someone said the best paintings feel like you're having a personal discussion with yourself. And I love that, even though I don't know how to get close to that. But I'll share it, because maybe you guys will get close to that. some kind of a ejaculation moment. And then projections, phallic projections. I was making these paintings, and whenever I would put the projector inside of the ass, no idea would come for me. Like, I could not think of anything to paint except shit, basically. And then when it was front, everything came, like a cherub or a deer or something. So I thought how weird that my imagination's tied to my understanding of the physical. Anyway, I think it's called Spectre. I don't know why I put just the raunchy paintings here for you guys. This one is called, I think, Inauguration, or like Bananas Speaking. It was during Trump's speech. I drove to the studio and I just painted this. I was just thinking, as he was giving this very xenophobic speech, that all these guys were just saying, like, oh, we're screwed, basically. Once in a while, a painting without a figure. Some kind of a dream projection ejaculate. I can't explain these paintings. I used to be better at talking about my work. In time, I've gone really unenergized in the performance that it takes to have to talk about your painting in this particular way. And so I give up, Well, thank you. You're a kind audience. It doesn't. Shit moms. I'll speak a little bit about the shit mom series. So I was told by my mother-in-law, oh, now you have children, you will affect your work, and I was offended. I said, my work is my work, I have children, how could you say that? And then months passed, and I was really affected, not by what she said, but the physical reaction, the physicality of feeling what I felt and what I said. I was like, wow, I really jumped at that comment. What was that? And that stayed with me. And then after my second child, I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, I went back to the studio and I was like, okay, I looked at this kid's back of his head for like 8 months now. I'm going to paint something for myself, put it in my bathroom, and it'll be done. And I painted a little mother and child, I think mother and 2 children, and it was just so sentimental. It was like, the bathroom was not even, I couldn't keep it, I couldn't even look at it. So I started just wiping it away, and luckily I just wiped the female figure and not the kids, and I was left with this muddied figure holding 2 pristine children, and I thought, oh, I could, this is something interesting, I could live with this. This was, I was like, wait a second, because I painted shit before, so I was like, why haven't I seen Shit Mom? Where's Shit Mom? I'm sure I'm copying somebody. Where's Shit Mom? So I started looking at comic books, like, where's the Shit Mom? Well, I can't remember, and I was shocked that I haven't. We all talk about, complain about, therapy or shit moms, whatever. So why hasn't this such an easy image? Why haven't we yet? And so I was thinking, why? And then I was like, wow, mother and child is the most created, subject in art history. And most mothers are virgins in art history. So that was, then I couldn't, I had to go in there. So I started painting, thinking about, okay, so now what? So now who's made Shit Mom? Did the kids make it because they had no mom? Is Shit Mom better than no mom? Is she happy being a Shit Mom? Now they want to be like her. They're making stuff. And I thought, where are they? They can't be an interior. Okay, disco. Why not? Yes, disco. Just to kind of make it easy for myself. I was talking to people in the studio today, like, too many variables is cacophonous. Like, make some things easy for yourself. So the disco was easy. Shitty disco. I had made a shitty disco painting before, so it was also coming from a memory. And then what else happened? Oh yeah, we'll go to the corners in a second, but then I thought, just the idea of imprinting, the idea of history giving, the idea of contamination, but again, it's better than not. So enjoying painting Shit Moms. And I was quite destabilized because my comfort zone was painting men. So I was like, where are the men going? So the men just became these lights that had to react with the kids, and that was a fun thing. Shipmum dissolves, Shipmum suicide, Shipmum water. Shipmum's gone, the milk is there. I don't know. I was interested in this. Yeah, we'll move on. Yeah. Then they also like, what are the men going to do? Maybe they're going to have they're going to come on the couch and they're going to shoot their own cum. Because like, what else? You know. So that's. But I don't know. I can't even like. You know. This is what I thought these guys could do while Shipmum's busy with the kids. So then I was like, shit mom, shit house. If it's a shit mom, is it a shit house? You know, few of that. Shit mom, shit house situations. Shitty DeMilo. She loses her hands. Baby falls. I mean, that's the big fear. Like, drop the baby. So then it's sort of that's how it you know. Again, more cum shots. Bad joke. I know, easy. So animations. Sorry, we're running late, perhaps. I'll show you. So then I thought, okay, well, so shit, mom. I was thinking. Wait, is this playing? Okay. I was thinking, can she masturbate? She's made of shit. She can't masturbate. She can't get a grip. She'll go through herself. So I thought I'll make that animation, but I don't want to make a sex video. So what else are you going to do? So I thought, okay, I like these interiors. Maybe she'll just walk and contaminate like the whole space first. And it's so boring. She'll be walking. And what do you do when you're bored? You masturbate. Great. Now there's a reason. So it's not just a sex video. So that's that. And we can watch it. There's some birds. Some like, you know, whatever, Spanish interior, some birds. We'll just watch it. It's an 8-minute she walking through. But while we're watching, please, if there's any more lingering things to talk about, let's. I love it. We can't get to anywhere unless we talk. So there's no offensibility. We're, you know, there is like pushback. Even if it's a question if it's a position you're not even sure you're having, but just put it out there. We'll discuss it. You know. I welcome it.
Do you use spray paint and oil?
Yes. Anything. I mean, anything, everything. Spray paint, oil, thin oil paint that I put in a spray, so it's not just from a can, because that doesn't work with oil. So, like, make your own spray paint, or industrial spray paint for more powerful pigment. It's intentionally long durational, 8 minutes is long, and you know, I had to have her walk around so much until, you know. Yeah. Is there anything else to share with you? Let me just look at as you're watching. Recoup.
Would you consider yourself a nihilist?
No. Oh no. Not at all. I don't think. I hope. Can a painter be a nihilist? Yes? You think a painter can be a nihilist? But don't you think the painting itself is a productive act? That if you're painting, you haven't lost hope? That you're making something? You're doing something with your nihilist position, but you're turning it into something. I mean, I feel...
What if the nostalgia is
and that might be a personal proclivity. Who's to say I'm right? You know what I mean? There could be the most amazing... I also feel, okay, we talked about that a little bit in some studios today. I also feel like it's very difficult at schools when you come and you present or you talk as a teacher with a suggestion that, well, it's one thing to teach history, and it's wonderful because we should know history. But the history should not be taught as a way. There's no way by knowing history. Same with technique. Technique is technique, but it's not the way. And it's dawned on me, my own little mark, that we just don't know what we need from art, let's say in 50 years. We just don't know as a people, what do we need from it? Maybe nostalgia is the only thing we're going to need from it. we don't know where we're going to be psychologically. And so I respect that we don't know that. Where I am still here now, yes, she fell, is that I still have the capacity to want to be moved and surprised. I'm still interested in that. So I want us to kind of like allow that to be a possibility. Also, when I was in art school, the discussion was, well, everything's been done before, so let's, and I thought, why would you even think that? Like, if you start from that position, then there is no position of thinking that maybe I could do something in painting that hasn't been done before. Because if you think everything's been done before, and not to say that everything hasn't been done before, but just that we can't think that as a holding thought. Please.
I feel like what you're talking about is generational, because the idea of nostalgia, I get it, I think that way too, but I don't think younger painters think that way.
Interesting.
So let's hear from the younger.
I love that. By the way, this is the masturbation thing. Don't miss. I'm kidding. No, but can we go to that? Because I find this really interesting about changes in painting. What is the moment of painting right now? And I also find that in relation to labor and an interest in like this thing. I actually think I could improve this. I think she could go through her stuff a bit quicker or more. But animation, you can improve it. Painting is so hard; it's much harder. While we're watching, please, younger painters, think about this nostalgia and your relationship. Could you formulate that so they can respond a bit more precisely? You're thinking that generationally. Do you agree with me that you're not interested in nostalgia, or what is our generation? What is the generation's relationship with nostalgia?
What I'm saying is we're so primed at thinking about art history. I don't know if I can do that.
I know. We'll do it afterwards. Let's do it afterwards. It's almost over. I love not paying attention to my own work. I love any setup where we don't have to pay attention to the work, basically. Go on. After Effects? Yeah. By the way, I don't know After Effects. An incredible lady friend does the After Effects. Yeah.
You said you're not watching or you're not listening podcasts or listening music or anything. Is that because you want to make those objectify more elements for making a good painting, or you wanting to focus on more information part about like satire and the humor part that what you want to deliver the most, like the narrative wise? That's why you want to get elevated or like stimulated by anything, just because you're more focusing on the humor element, or you want to deliver like specifically about like the humor that you want to depict about?
I want to be present. It's like if you have a kid, right? If you're trying to play with your kid by listening to a podcast, what are you doing? Can you even play with the kid? Can you do the podcast? You know what I mean? Like, you can't be if you're trying to do something, you can't be distracted. I listen to podcasts when I'm driving because I guess the kind of attention that I need to pay attention to the road is a different kind of attention, and I can listen and drive at the same time. I have to find an ending. The endings, because we should also talk about endings. Let's talk about nostalgia, endings, and this for a second. If you have the wherewithal. Yeah, I'll turn this off. There we go. So, the painters that I love looking at, Matisse, Picasso, Francis Bacon, what I love about their work is that they're searching. They're not delivering, they're not executing, they're searching. I can't fathom in 1 second that they're listening to something else while trying to figure something out. So that detachment is required when you're doing labor, right? Labor wants distraction. Labor needs distraction. if I want to, labor is one thing. And if the work's about labor, then sure, be laborious. Do labor. Yeah, I think painting doesn't lie. You're tired, you paint, it shows up. You're hungry, you paint, it shows up. You're bored, you paint, it shows up. You have 20 assistants, you paint, it shows up. It shows up. Painting doesn't lie. And that's all fine too, by the way. It's all fine too, but that's the meaning then. Like, let's not think it has another meaning besides the thing that shows up. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Oh no, but it's okay. Yeah. But also, it's just food for thought. Take everything I say and put it in a garbage bag, by the way, by all means. Only when it's useful. Okay, but nostalgia. Anybody wants to open up their relationship to paintings of the past and how they bring that in their work in relation to nostalgia of a newer generation? If not, let's open it up then, because I think it's worth discussing. Oh yeah, go on. I'm sorry. I know, I bring it up.
In my mind, I thought more like you were talking about memories or the past in a way.
Oh, right.
Or somebody else's.
Right.
So that's one question. Is that related at all to
Not at all. Not at all. It's not about subject. So, subject, there is no about subject. If we are ourselves. So it's not about, for me, I mean it, it happened, I guess I came to this way of thinking actually during the Trump time, and thinking that if we all do believe in a collective subconscious, and as artists that we want to sort of be a voice for a liberal position, that nostalgia is conservative, and that we are feeding that, if we are engaged in nostalgia as a way of thinking, whatever the subject is that we're painting, we're actually feeding conservatism. And this happened when I was thinking about the problems of then with Trump and continuing. Yeah, if that makes sense.
I guess I'll follow my relationship. I'm not a painter, but when you're saying nostalgia in the terms of technique, I think of, I guess I think of craft and objects that exist in the past, and that to me, I guess when I translate your opinion, it
oh yeah.
back to those.
Oh yes, great question.
Very different.
No, it's wonderful, because somehow I don't think it touches that at all. Because I actually feel like it's really not about sameness. It's not about it's about relationship to that object and to the way you're making it and to its function. Because when I look at, let's say, a rug is made in a very similar way over and over again, and the patterns don't change that much. But when I'm looking at a rug, I'm really looking at it. I'm not enjoying that rug because it looks like knots from other rugs. And that's the difference. Are you leaning on modes of previous modes of painterly, visual things, leaning on that, or are you having a direct experience? As long as you're having a direct experience with that object, I don't think it falls for me, under the problem of nostalgia. And so it's quite subtle, right? That's what I was mentioning, Kirk Cowper, whose paintings look, by all means, they have a traditional interest. He paints in a very photorealistic, figurative manner. But he's in a very direct relationship with the material and with his brush. And there's nothing that, he's not, in that way. So it is a bit of a je ne sais quoi. It is a bit of I don't know how it gets there. That sometimes, it's a paint and a brush. We all do the same thing. You dab it in, you make a mark. But how does one have a direct relationship with the material now? And how does one lean into it looking like past and enjoying that? And it's interesting. So there's a bit of something quite particular that changes that. And it could be many different things.